गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Today again we do little bit of Sugama and also little bit of Vedanta Paribhasha. First we do little Sugama. So next question about avidya is Nanucha Atmaikatva Vidya kin Rupini Bhavato Abhimata. Now the Atmaikatva Vidya Praptaye Sarve Vedantaha Arabhyante. Pratipattaye Atmaikatva Vidya Pratipattaye iti, this thus Bhashyakara said. Now the next question is, what is the nature of that Atmaikatva Vidya? That means the knowledge of unity of Atma. What is the nature of it? Still the questioner continues. Vakyartha Jnana Rupa Chet Brahmano Shabda Vishayatva Prasanga. Is it Vakyartha Jnanam? See the question. Vakya Artha Jnanam. What is the nature of that knowledge? Is that knowledge born of a sentence? Vakyartha Rupa means born of sentence. Vakya Artha Rupa. Artha Rupa means it is a meaning of a sentence. If it is a meaning of a sentence, so what? So what is wrong in it? Chet Brahmano Shabda Vishayatva Prasanga. See, we learn many things when somebody talks about it. When you talk about something through a sentence, what happens? The sentence gives a meaning. Not here, elsewhere it is discussed. A sentence constitutes words. Sentence is formed of words. So the words come together, get connected to each other, okay, and give rise to a meaning. So the sentence means nothing but a relationship of the words. The relationship of the words. Therefore, a meaning born of a sentence is a relational meaning. Relational meanings, there is one substance, and substance is related to a quality or an action, something like that. See, a sentence talks about things which are related to each other. So, what is that? Dravya Guna Kriya. Dravya is substance, Guna is quality, Kriya is as an action. So, Sambandha is a relationship. So, words can talk, words can refer to a substance, a quality, an action, a relationship, only like this. So, a sentence which is formed of words so can only reveal a relational meaning. A relational meaning. Relational meaning means one substance and it is related to a quality. Or you talk, for example, relationship. Relationship means what? You talk of a thing either existing in one point of space or at one point of time. You see any sentence you say, any sentence you make, that sentence reveals about a thing and its a quality, or it's an action, or it is related to time and place and condition and some manner, or two things are related. Here is a book. When you say you are talking of a substance in a place, okay, I shall come tomorrow. You are talking of you, an event which is likely to happen tomorrow. So all these are relations only about some action, about some quality, or a substance, or time, place, only this thing. So every sentence talks of some relation. Therefore, if Brahmajnanam is born of a sentence, then what happens? Brahmano Shabda Vishayatva Prasanga. The undesirable conclusion would be what would be the problem? The problem would be that Brahma becomes Shabda Vishaya. Shabda Vishaya means Brahma becomes an object of a sentence. That means a relational knowledge alone. Okay, let it be, so what? That means the knowledge born will be only a concept. The knowledge that is born of a sentence will only be a conceived idea. An idea, a concept alone. Then what? Then it goes. If Brahma Jnanam is an idea, is a concept, what happens? It goes against the very Upanishad. Upanishad says, Yato vacho nivartante apra-apya manasasaha. So Upanishad says, Brahman is not available for any relationship. So neither perception, neither the sense organs get connected to Brahman, nor mind can conceive it. Okay, neither sense organs get connected to it, nor mind can conceive it, nor emotion can feel it, nor words can describe it. That means whatever means of knowledge we have, perception, inference, words, all these things operate in a relational stage alone. But Paramatma, the truth, the pure consciousness, or the pure existence, is beyond all relations. Yato vacho nivartante apra-apya manasa saha. So the vacha, walk comes back along with mind. The speech along with mind comes back without reaching it. That means the speech cannot touch it. The speech means what? Speech works in terms of relationship. Speech cannot touch it. Then mind also, because mind also thinks of only relationship alone. That mind means a concept. So Brahma Jnanam is not a concept. Brahman is not available for any conception nor for any description. Neither it is describable nor it is conceivable. Okay. So therefore, what is the nature of knowledge about Brahman that arises? So Purvapakshi says it cannot be knowledge born of a sentence. Vakya jnana abhyasa rupatvepi doshad anistara eva. Next, people might say, oh, it is not directly the meaning of a sentence. The meaning of a sentence gives rise to one conceptual idea. A concept. Conceptual means a concept. Conceptual knowledge means a concept. Sentence gives rise to a concept. You meditate on it, and that knowledge gives rise to another knowledge. If you say like that, Vakya jnana abhyasa rupatve. If the knowledge born of a sentence is repeatedly practiced, as a result of a practice, another knowledge arises. To this, he says, even that another knowledge also will be relative only. It is a relational knowledge. It is not an absolute knowledge, it is a relative knowledge, it is again a concept only. Therefore, ultimately it is the same. Okay, then you may take another alternative. Vakyartha jnanad anya che. Vakyartha jnanat anya. So there is a knowledge which is other than Vakyartha. Vakyartha means the meaning of a sentence. Meaning of a sentence is relational of words. Words get related to each other like a subject, object, verb, subject and predicate. These are all relations. So if the idea produced is a relational idea, it goes against the very Upanishad. Upanishad says knowledge, Brahman is not available for any relations. Or if knowledge is something non-relational, the knowledge that arises in your mind is a non-relational. That means it doesn't mean any relation relation between two things in a spatial relation, temporal relation, or between two objects. So in no relation whatsoever, no cause and effect, no part and whole, no substance and quality. Like this, there are various relationships. So the knowledge that arises is a non-relational knowledge. Then in that case, it cannot be called as a meaning of a sentence. In that case, then why did you say Vedantaha arabhyante? See, this one sentence of Shankaracharya giving rise to so many discussions. Still the same last sentence of Shankaracharya we are discussing. What is that? Atmaikatva vidya pratipattaye sarve Vedantaha arabhyante. All the Vedantas begin. That means all the Vedantas proceed. Begin means proceed. All the Vedantas proceed to reveal the nature of Atman, to give rise to a knowledge of Atman. Then, if that is the case, what happened? Vedantaha arabhyante. All the Vedantas proceed towards it. Proceed towards what? Towards giving rise to a knowledge. Knowledge of it. So this sentence again goes wrong. If the knowledge that arises is a non-sentences, how to say that? Sentensical. Vakyajanya jnanam means, can we call it a sentensical? I don't know whether such an English expression is there. Born of sentence only we have to say. Non-sentensical means which is a meaning of a non-sentence. That means it is not a meaning of a sentence. Then why do you say that Vedanta gives rise to knowledge? Vedanta cannot reveal. Vedanta consists of sentences. Then sentences, any sentence produces a relational knowledge. Then if the knowledge that arises is not of a relational one, then you can't say it is produced from Vedanta. It is not from Vedanta. So either way you are caught up. If it is born of a sentence, the knowledge will be relational. If it is not relational, then it is not from Vedanta. Then what is your answer? Tathacha atmanaha upanishadeka prakashyatvam tyaktam syat. Then tantu aupanishadam purusham pruchhami ityadi shruti virodascha prasajjeta. Then Upanishad takes a stand that Atmajnanam is something which can be learnt only through Upanishad, not in any other way. Only through Upanishad, but not in any other way. Without Upanishads, you can't understand. Then either way is a problem. To this, Swamiji replies, Vakyajnanena vishayatvena iva brahmana samarpanat. See, there is a peculiar capacity. A sentence has got an extraordinary capacity of producing a non-sentensical meaning. Means a non-relational meaning born of a sentence. This is possible only with a Vedantic sentence. That to Tattvamasi Mahavakya. The final truth, Brahman is absolute. Absolute means beyond all relationals. Beyond all relation, beyond all conception. You cannot think of it. Okay? It is beyond all relation, beyond all conception. Such Brahman, how can you learn from? How can you learn through Vedanta? He says, Vakya has got an extraordinary capacity. Vakya comes and it's the words of a sentence, like tat tvam asi. Tat and tvam are related. Asi is connecting them. Asi verb is connecting the tat and tvam. Okay? So this connection means a relation. He says, this Tattvamasi Mahavakya comes, but it reveals something by negating all relations. It is possible. It is an implied meaning, lakshartha. In Naishkarma Siddhi, in Upadesha Sahasri, all this is elaborately discussed. Naishkarma Siddhi, whole book is meant for it. Even Upadesha Sahasri, particularly the 18th chapter, only exclusively dedicated to how the Mahavakya reveals. In fact, Naishkarma Siddhi can be called a commentary on Upadesha Sahasri's 18th chapter. Upadesha Sahasri is of two. One is a prose section, another is poetic section, versified section. Prose section consists of 3 chapters, and versified, that means a poetic section, 19 chapters. In that 18th chapter exclusively talks of how Mahavakya gives rise to Jnanam. And taking that 18th chapter as a basis, Sureshwaracharya elaborates and wrote whole Naishkarma Siddhi. The whole entire book is on that chapter only. It shows how the sentence comes by negating all relationship. Only a non-relational Brahma, Swatasiddha Brahma. Swatasiddha Brahma knowledge is gained. Vakya Jnanena Avishayatvena Brahmana Samarpanat. The Upanishadic statement that Mahavakya. Mahavakya means the final sentence. The final sentence means the last word. The last word of the Upanishads, or you can say the conclusive statement of the Upanishad, or you can say the summarized, a statement which summarizes the entire Veda, or you can say it is an essential statement of the entire Vedanta. Entire essence, what he wants to convey, the central idea of Vedanta in one sentence. Tattvamasi, you are Brahman, that is the only teaching. So this sentence, Vakya Jnanena Avishayatvena, it gives rise to knowledge which is a non-relational, not as an object of something. It is not an object of a sentence, nor it is an object of a thought. It gives rise to knowledge neither as an object of a thought nor an object of a sentence. That means neither the very objectiveness, object and thought and its object, sentence and its object, this relation it negates. And what remains is self-existing, self-shining Atma. Therefore, Vakya Jnanena Avishayatvena Iva Brahmana Samarpana. Mahavakya presents Brahman as a non-relational, as a non-object. It presents to you not as an object of your thought, but as a subject of your very thought. It is a consciousness in which all your thoughts arise. See, this is very interesting. Even this Vedantic thinking generally, when we listen, we have been waiting to understand Brahman. That means we are trying to catch Brahman through our thought. I tell you, you won't catch it. You won't be able to catch. And Vedanta is not teaching you Brahman that is likely to become an object of your thought. The thoughts which are already arising in you, you are aware of. See, that awareness in you, in which you are aware of all these thoughts, all this listening. The listening is taking place in the awareness. That awareness it is talking of. The awareness which is already there in you. The consciousness is already there in you, in which this very thoughts, thinking, listening, all this takes place. So the consciousness which is the basis of all your thoughts, it teaches Brahman in that way, not as an object of a thought. Therefore, don't wait for a thought to arise of a Brahman. Okay, don't wait for a thought that it is going to happen, that you are going to understand Brahman. You think you are going to understand, then Brahman becomes an object. But Vedanta doesn't present Brahman as an object of your thinking. Then what? It is already there. I can give you an example, which I have said before once, I think several times, like wakeful consciousness. You take an example that you are awake now. You are in the waking state. That means your wakeful consciousness is there. You are awake. I'll give you 2 examples. One is when I talk of any other object. Book, when I say, a thought of book arises in your mind. When a thought of book arises, then you understand what I said. Oh, you mean book. Yes, I understood. Or when I say a tree, a thought arises in you. Then you say, oh yes, I understood. Sometimes if you don't hear properly, you ask, no, you are telling something, what is that? What is that? Please repeat it, let me hear again. Tree, I told tree. Oh yeah, I understood, tree. That means when you have not understood means your mind has not registered what is that. The pronunciation was not clear to you. The tree has not registered. Then your mind becomes a blank, or you may not get the idea. When I say tree, I mean the tree, T-R-E-E. Oh yes, I got it. You say, yes, I got it. That means the word tree produces a thought in you. So that thought means a thought brings an idea of tree to you. Thought brings an idea of something. When that idea comes, you understand. Here, unlike this, when I talk about waking state, waking, whenever I say a book, you have to think of a book. You have to bring an idea of book. When I say tree, when I say sun, moon, star, or a city, or a bus, or a car, or anything I say, I state, the idea has to come into your mind. But when I say you are awake, you are in the wakeful state, do you need a new experience of wakeful state? See the difference, contrast. Anything other than you, when I say book or tree or anything, or a bus or a car, the new thought has to arise in you. Because it is out of your experience, it has come to your experience. But when I say you are awake, wakeful consciousness, do you need a new thought for your wakeful consciousness? A new experience has to arise in you? See how different it is. When I say you are awake, I am already. You don't need a new thought. In fact, all other thoughts are suspended. You are already awake. You are in the wakeful state. In the wakeful state, a thought arises. Okay? In the wakefulness, a new thought doesn't arise because you are already awake. Only no other thought comes to you, that's all. You prevent all other thoughts and you think, and you know that you are already awake. That's what I am referring to. The wakefulness, you don't need a new thought to arise about wakefulness. To understand the wakefulness, you don't need a new thought like book and a tree and any other things. That means wakefulness, when I say you are awake, you don't need a new thought because you are already awake. Similarly, when I say you are Brahman, don't look for a new thought that is going to come. You are already that. What you are not is negated. That's all. What you are not is negated. That's all. That means your individuality. Individual thinking of subject to object. You are a thinker and there is a thought. A thinker-thought relation, both are negated. A knower-known, thinker-thought, okay? Thinker-thought relation, knower-known relation, all these relations are dissolved. There is an experience already of consciousness, okay? Dissolved means this duality dissolves into one conscious thought, one consciousness alone. One consciousness, like the wakefulness. You see, just as when I say you are awake, wakefulness, no new thought is required. Only all other thoughts are stopped. When all other thoughts are stopped, your wakefulness is what you are. Similarly, when I say I am Brahman, even the wakeful as a state is not there. Neither a waking, nor a dream, nor a deep sleep. You have no state. All the three states melt into one consciousness. They merge into one consciousness. It is an eternal consciousness. Neither begins nor ends. It is always there. Okay. So, Upanishadic statement gives rise to a knowledge by negating all your relational mind. You are in a subject-object relational thinking. I say something and you listen. Listener and sound, knower and known, these relationships are dissolved into one consciousness. The consciousness which is already there. Okay? So this kind of, just as the wakefulness is already an experience, similarly, Brahmatvam, that I am Brahman, is an existing fact, is an ever-existing fact. Therefore, Vakya Jnanena Avishayatvena. So that knowledge arises not as an object of your thought, but when all the thoughts are dissolved, when all the thoughts are swallowed up, something beyond thought, an experience which is beyond thought. Thought means relation. You understand? By whenever I say thought, you mean relation. Thought means you may imagine something else. Thought means relation. So it is a non-relational. Thoughtless means what? Non-relational. Thinker thought. There is no relation. There is no person, there is no individual who is thinking. When the very individuality dissolves, there is no thinker, because there is no thought. Thought-thinker relationship is only through individual. You as an individual thinking. Knower is thinking at known. Knower is thinking a thought. Here, there is no knower known. There is no thinker thought. There is no subject object. This relation is dissolved. Nothing to say. You can't say anything. And you don't need to say, because it is so self-evident. The experience is so self-evident, you don't have to say. Therefore, this knower known, subject object, these relationships are dissolved in that self-evident consciousness. Okay? It's always self-shining. Even the statement you are hearing in the consciousness, not that after hearing you get the consciousness. See, in this example, after I state, you come to understand it. Book, when I say, after listening to the word book, you get the idea of book, not before. When I say tree, after listening to the word tree, you get the idea of tree, not before. But in contrast with it, you are awake. When I say, do you become awake after I state the word? After you listen to the statement, you become awake? Or you are already awake? In your wakefulness, you listen even this word. Ah, see how beautiful. In any other object, see, knowing something as an object or as a non-object, how do you distinguish? Upanishad says that Brahman is revealed not as an object. Not as an object means what? How am I to understand it? See, this is the way. When a knowledge arises after listening a word, that is an object. When a knowledge arises, when a knowledge is there, and what I point out, after pointing out, you don't know it. You are in that, therefore the very pointing out is understood. See the difference? When I say you are awake, after listening the statement, the wakefulness doesn't arise in you. Like when I say book, after listening to the word book, the thought of book arises in you. But here you are awake. When I say you are awake, the wakefulness doesn't arise after I state it. You are already in the wakefulness. In the being in the wakefulness, you are listening to this statement. You are awake. When I say being wakeful, being awareness, you are listening to this statement. Ah, see, that means wakefulness is in you, not as an object of you. See, wakefulness is there, not as an object, but as a subject of even this statement. You get it? A subject of even this statement. You are listening to even this statement, you are awake. How do you understand it? Yes, I understood. Do you say? You are awake. Yes, I understood. You are awake? That's, of course. Do you say, yes, I understood? Why understanding? You are already awake. In your wakefulness, you are listening to this statement that you are awake. You are awake. Even to listen to this statement, you should be wakeful. Similarly, even to listen, you are Brahman. Of course I am. That should be the Brahmajnana. I am that. In that awareness, even the statement, I am Brahman, I am listening. I am listening you, your statement, and this listener. All this is in one consciousness. Okay? The speaker, you, and your words, and my listening. Listening, words, and you, speaker. All this is one consciousness. You get it? In that one non-dual consciousness, there is nothing other than us. So this consciousness only dissolves duality. It doesn't give rise to a new thought. It makes the all subject, object, and the speaker, speech, and the listener, all this make it one thought, one indivisible thought. Because when a speaker speaks about the speaker only, is there a relational one? When knower and the known, two things are there, it is a relational. Knower is talking about the knower only. Is there a relational? See, as a knower is talking about known, a knower is thinking about known, there is a relationship. If a knower thinks about knower only, relation dissolves. Isn't it? Now, knower thinking about knower, let it think. Let the thought think about thought. You can't think. Thought thinking a thought dissolves. Thought thinking a thought dissolves. Knower thinking about knower, relation cannot be established. Knower thinking about knower, there can't be a relation. There can't be a thought. That means knower thinking about knower, relational dissolves. There is only consciousness. So similarly, so Atmaikatva Vidya, he says, what is the nature? How Swamiji each point beautifully discusses. Most relevant, most important and necessary for Vidyarthi, for a seeker of truth. So Vakya Jnanena Avishayatvena iva Brahmana Samarpanat. So that Brahman is presented as a non-object. Non-object means what, people? Just now we have discussed. See, non-object means you stand as a subject and try to objectify. That means standing as a subject, you get related to something, then it is an object. Object is an object only you stand as a subject and get related to something. This relation is subject-object relationship. So he is not revealing as an object. That means Shruti Upanishad is revealing Brahman to you, keeping you as a subject and then and something else as an object. So it is not revealing something in a relational. So it is not revealing something that obtains in that relational state. Therefore, by standing in relation, you can't understand it. When I say tree, yes, I understand tree is in a forest or somewhere, tree and me, you can think of tree, you are the subject and tree is an object. That means anything you think of, you get related to it. You remain a subject and get related to it. So through relation you understand. But when you say you are Brahman, in what relation you stand to Brahman? Tell me. In what relation you stand with Brahman? You and Brahman, not two. No relation is possible. You and Brahman, no relation is possible. All relationship, subject to object duality is dissolved. This is what Vyakhyanakaras, our post-Shankarites call it Akhandakara Vritti. That's a way of telling. It means there is no relational thought. The thought dissolves into consciousness. Thought doesn't objectify the consciousness. Any other thing, subject to object, there is a relational thought. You objectify it. Objectification means what? You stand as a subject to that object. To that object, you get related as a subject. But to Brahman, you don't remain stand as a subject related to Brahman. Brahman is not somebody else, it is you. And who is a knower? You. You are the knower and you are a Brahman. Then how do you relate to yourself? There are no two things. Okay. That means you don't stand as a subject to know Brahman. because your subjecthood is negated and Brahman cannot be object. So this in fact subject-object relation has to be negated. When the subject-object relation is negated, a non-relational, standing without relation, that means then what happens to the thought? Thought merges, thought dissolves into consciousness. Thought is swallowed by consciousness. In all other things, thought stands, being related to something. In all other knowledges other than Brahman, thought stands. How? As a knower getting related to something. But in Brahma Jnanam, the knower-known relationship dissolves. So you cannot have any knower-known relationship. The knower-known relation, the relativeness dissolves. All thoughts dissolve into consciousness. Therefore, Swamiji at one point says in Kannada book, thought muligi hoguttade in Kannada. Thought merges, submerges in consciousness. Thought submerges in consciousness, like wave submerges into water. So that way Jnanam is not relational. That's why he says, how can the sentence reveal Brahman? It reveals. It has got a peculiar capacity. Sentence has got a capacity which Vedanta alone uses. Advaita Vedanta alone is capable of using this particular capacity of a sentence. What is that? Vakya Jnanena Avishayattvena iva Brahmana Samarpanat. It reveals Brahman as a non-object. You understand that what is non-object? Okay. Uktam cha pragyata sriti vakyam atmano atadharma. So this we have stated already. Sentence doesn't reveal as something. Brahman as a something by negating atadharma adhyaropana nivartakatvena pramanam. Shruti is a pramanam by negating what is not Brahman. It negates everything other than Brahman. All that dissolves. There is nothing other than Brahman. Anatma doesn't exist. Even the Anatma doesn't exist. Even Guru Shishya doesn't exist. Guru is also Brahman, Shishya is also Brahman, Vedanta is also Brahman. You are Guru, you are Shishya, you are Vedanta. In that one consciousness, Guru is not separate from you. Shishya is not separate from that. Vedanta is not separate. There is neither ignorance nor there is a knowledge. In fact, knowledge removes ignorance. It only means that it tells you that there was never an ignorance. Knowledge doesn't remove. Removing only means it comes and tells you that there is never an ignorance. Oh, you understand, you question the very ignorance and understand the ignorance itself never existed. This is how you remove. It is not that existing ignorance you remove. You question the assumption that you had an ignorance. Therefore, the thought that you had an ignorance itself is a false. By understanding its falsity, then there is no ignorance and there is no removal. Neither there was an ignorance nor there is a removal. It's already Brahma. This is how you come to understand it. So, people always ask about how does that knowledge take place. Swamiji discusses it at the end of Sugama. In the beginning, people want to ask, how do you understand? How do you understand? You try to catch a thought of Brahma Jnanam. I tell you, Brahma Jnanam cannot be caught through thought. In fact, the very thinking is an obstruction for it. After doing all this vichara, at the end of Sugama, Swamiji discusses this point. It is dissolving the very thought, swallowing up, merging of all thoughts into consciousness. You don't merge, you understand is already merged. See, again, merging means you think that an event has to take place. You come to understand that is already merged. It is something like, I'll tell you, I got another example. You will find plenty of examples in life. Yeah, there is a mirror, let us say. There is a sun. Sun is the sun, sun, the illumining sun in the sky. The sun is illumining. You have a mirror like this. Okay? You hold the mirror. the sunlight falls on the mirror and the reflection falls on the book here. You are in a dark room. So at a window, you are receiving the light on it. The sunlight falls on the mirror and this focus, you turn the focus this way, the light reflects and falls on a book. Okay? The book gets illumined. That means wherever you focus, wherever you direct the light means the reflected light. When the mirror reflects, mirror receives the light and reflects it. So this reflected light, wherever falls, that object gets known. Okay? Wherever it falls, it gets known. It is the very nature of mirror to receive the light and reflect it. Okay? Now I tell you, the same mirror turned towards the sun. What happens? The same mirror turned towards the sun. Have you seen? Turn towards the sun. Sun falls on the mirror and it is the nature of mirror to reflect it. Then where does the reflection go? Reflection falls on the sun. Can it illumine the sun? See, if the reflected light falls on any other object, that object gets illumined. You come to see that. But if the reflection falls on the, you direct that reflection directly to the sun only, what happens? The sunlight which is reflected in the mirror, again that reflection turn it towards the sun swallows it. Does sun get illumined by the reflected light? Does the sun get illumined by the reflected light? No, it swallows it. Similarly, the thought, when directed towards anything other than Brahman, that becomes a reflected light. What is reflected light? That when the mind receives the light of consciousness, and when it forms a thought means anything other than Brahman is thought. Anything other than Brahman is a thought. Therefore, a mind forms a thought, that means it thinks of any other object. Now the same mind turned towards Brahman, just like it turned the mirror towards the sun. What happens to that reflector? But it is the nature of the sun, nature of the mirror to reflect. Then where does the reflected light go? Reflected light goes back to the sun. It merges back. Does it illumine the sun? Not required. Because it is the very sun's light that my mirror is taking. How can the mirror illumine the very sun? There, similarly, the mind when turned towards the Sakshi, when the mind is turned towards the Sakshi, towards yourself, what happens? The very mind, when you turn the mind towards any other object, mind takes the Sakshi's light consciousness and illumines the object. You think of a book, you think of a wall, you think of a cloth, you think of a door. So the thought thinks of all these objects and illumines. When the thought is directed towards the Sakshi, the thought is incapable of thinking Sakshi. It merges into Sakshi. Okay? That means the entire world becomes consciousness alone. And it is falsified. Falsified in the sense, it doesn't exist apart from consciousness. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in other things, what happens? You leave out the world and then remain in your Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you leave out the world and you enter into Samadhi. You don't say world doesn't exist. You only block out the world. You don't dissolve the world. You block out the world, that's all. But in Jnanam, you don't leave out the world, because where to leave? The entire world is swallowed by consciousness. Nirvikalpa Samadhi doesn't swallow the world. It leaves out the world and it remains it excludes, it goes out of the world. Nirvikalpa Samadhi goes out of the world. Brahmajnanam doesn't go out of the world. It swallows the world and remains it alone. See the difference. Brahman alone remains. Now there is nothing outside Brahman. Waking is myself. Dream is myself. Deep sleep is myself. The entire world is myself. There is nothing outside me. Time is myself. Space is myself. The infinite space is myself. All the time of past, the endless past and the endless future. Beginningless past and endless future is myself. Beginningless time is myself. Endless future is myself. Myself means it is not individual. It is that. I don't know, whatever word you use goes wrong. Any word you use goes wrong. Therefore, you only say just that. That doesn't mean a referable that. When a referable that means, it means a relation. It is not a relational word. When you say I am Brahman, when you say that is Brahman, either that or I. These words are not relational words. They are only imposed words by transcending all relations. So therefore, Tattvamasi Vakya doesn't give a relational meaning. It is an imposed word. Therefore, it dissolves all relations. It is an imposed word. Adhyaropita Shabda. Therefore, so no relational, it is self-existing. Therefore, Uktam cha pragyata shruti vakyam atmano atadharma nishedainaiva pramanyam bhajate iti nayamapi doshaha. Is the next question. I think next 2 questions are remaining. Okay? If you say the 2 questions, Sugama is over. So one interesting question is, does Jnani see the Dvaita Prapancha or not? Does Jnani, I repeat the question and he will answer tomorrow. Does Jnani see the duality, the Dvaita Prapancha, the world of duality? Does Jnani see the world of duality? That means, does Jnani after Brahma Jnanam, does he live in that world of duality? Does he see the world of duality or not? This is a very interesting question. Okay, we'll answer tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.